Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today, we will be continuing to talk about reducing relationship stress during the holidays. And this one is also for all year long. So stay tuned. Are there some people in your life that you are not looking forward to seeing during the holidays? Find out how to manage your relationship stress and live an inspired and empowered life. You can also learn 3 principles of how to boost your self-care, discover how to more effectively deal with difficult people, and the number 1 mistake that would keep you from having healthier relationships. And together, let's create a life you love. And I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive breakthrough expert. I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuition to transform your life. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So last Country Corner said, I didn't bring anything to write on. Well, if you have your phone, then bring your phone, or you can always come back to a later time, because remember, the show is on YouTube after the fact. So if you miss something, you can always go back, and also know that we also have the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Amazon, so you can find us if you need to. And I love that you want to take notes during the show, because my goal is to really help you to change your life so that you are living an inspired and empowered life. So listen intently, ask your questions, and if you can always come back. Okay? So thank you for letting me know, because then I got to say all that. Okay. So, relationships. Before we go deep into today's show, I want to do my Psych 101 lesson, because we're going to be talking about the different states of our mind. Now, I usually talk about 3 minds. You have your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is the part of you that decided to tune in today. Thank you, conscious mind of yours. Your subconscious mind is the part of you from the moment you were conceived to present time that you have recorded every moment that you've been alive. And so when there's limiting beliefs, when there's emotions or when there's trauma patterns, those live in your subconscious mind. And when we're talking about relationships, what very often happens is if there's unresolved stuff in or issues in limiting beliefs, emotions in your subconscious mind about relationships, they will show up in your relationships in current time, even though they are from the past. So that's why it's really important to have that awareness and to know and to be aware of what you need in order to help heal yourself and your relationships. So Anastasia says, "Oh, yeah, I have a note thing on my phone. Good idea." All right. Thank you, Anastasia. Mickey says, if you have a head injury, can that damage those memories in the subconscious? So if you have a head injury, those memories in your subconscious are there. Okay. So the head injury wouldn't affect those memories, although even people who have amnesia, and now this is, I'm not a doctor or scientist or researcher about the amnesia or anything, but what I believe is that the information will still be in the subconscious mind, but you can't recall it in your conscious mind. There's a disconnection that happens. And it also depends on the brain injury and what happens. I mean, a lot of what goes on has to do with the type of brain injury that there is. So that may or may not happen. Now, the other thing that I want to support you all in knowing is the superconscious mind. Remember, I said there were three. And your superconscious mind is your access to your unlimitedness, your access to what I call your higher self, that higher, wise, loving part of you that's there for the asking, your access to your soul and the universe, and being able to connect with your angels and your guides and beings of light and all these beings that are here for the asking. And so what I want to remind you is that you can ask for help to keep connecting to the higher aspect, the super conscious mind. And it takes practice and work, but learning to connect with that super conscious mind empowers you to change your life and to change yourself and your relationships. And Misty asks, do we ever gain control of access to these three? Yes, I can tell you that there are people that very much are in control of their three minds. And here's the thing, your subconscious mind is a very powerful part of you. It's not the bad guy. So I just want to remind you that it's really the part. I mean, without our subconscious mind, we wouldn't automatically be breathing and our heartbeat. And I mean, that's your subconscious or your unconscious mind takes care of all of that for you so that you don't have to think about it. What happens is that as you gain more and more access to your super consciousness, your super conscious mind, your higher self, the higher parts of you, what happens is that as you do that, you gain more access to all parts of you. What happens is there's an alignment of body, mind, emotion, spirit, alignment of your conscious, your subconscious, and your superconscious minds. And so what happens is you are able to function more effectively in your life. And so that's the power of being able to work with your superconscious mind and to work on gaining control, or how about mastery, or gaining, um, what's another word for control? Gaining the ability. How about this? Gaining the ability to access and choose your mind, or or information, or the things that you need at will. How about that? We're going to change that word, because the word control can have a negative connotation. And the power that you have when you start being in more of your higher consciousness is infinite. It's amazing. Synchronicities and coincidences. I see Misty says, does any of these three have power over the others? Okay. So your superconscious mind, to me, your superconscious mind is the ultimate uh, master control factory. Now, here's the thing. Because you have free will, and free will gives us the ability to choose or not to choose. Because you have free will, your superconscious mind can take a back seat until you are ready and willing to work with it more frequently. And one of the ways to do that is meditation, or types of meditation, or prayer, spiritual things that help support you in gaining more connection to that mind. Now, the other mind that's really important. Now, your subconscious mind, basically your thoughts, your behaviors, your emotions, when you go on automatic and you get triggered. Now, this is what I was going to talk about in this segment on relationships. When you get triggered by a person, that is your subconscious mind. You're going on automatic. Now, if as you gain the ability to, excuse me, as you gain the ability and you have the awareness, this is why your conscious mind is actually so powerful, because it is your conscious mind that gives you the power to make the conscious choices to access your subconscious mind and your superconscious mind. It is your conscious mind that empowers you to change your life. And it makes us different than the animal kingdom because we have a thinking mind. Even though your subconscious mind is that instinctual, emotional part of you that reacts to people and relationships, and you being able to take your power back, as you saying, with your conscious awareness mind, saying, you know what? I've gotten triggered by this person in my family or one of my friends, or something has happened, and then making a conscious choice. What do I do about this? And it's asking questions. It's asking questions. And I'll get to the question. Okay, I'll get to those questions very shortly. And so, know that each of these minds is really important. Your conscious mind gives you the power and the ability to make those decisions as you gain awareness. That's why conscious awareness is so crucial and so important, because as you gain conscious awareness, you can make conscious decisions and decide what you choose to do or not do with the situation at hand. Your subconscious mind is the reactor, but it's a powerful reactor. And your superconscious mind, when in connection with the other two, when you consciously choose to say, I want to heal the old trauma, the old limiting beliefs, the old emotions, and you work on healing yourself on those deeper levels, that's when you open up even more to the superconscious mind, and the alignment starts to happen more easily. And that's why healing those places in your subconscious mind is so crucial. But before you can even heal it, you have to know that it exists. That's why conscious awareness and starting to observe yourself, starting to observe your thoughts, your behaviors, the things that happen for you. Okay, so that's really important. And when we're talking about reducing relationship stress, this is a really powerful discussion for reducing relationship stress, because the more you take your power back and the more you understand what your triggers are and how your triggers affect you, and you work on healing and clearing the energy, then you end up becoming more conscious of how you choose to be in any situation. That was a powerful statement I just said. And so, to sum it up, conscious awareness gives you the power, empowers you to make a choice of how you choose to be. And the more that you do your healing work, the more you are empowered to make those choices. Because usually when we react, and listen, every single one of us reacts. We're all human. It's part of being human. What empowers you is becoming more aware so that then you can make those conscious choices. Okay, so I know we got lots of questions, so let's go to those questions. The next question was from Country Corners. Why so many bad decisions if there is a stronger of them? Okay, so what happens is, I'll give you the stat. When I found out this stat, it totally blew me away. 95% of your thoughts, your behaviors, your emotions, when you react, when you get triggered, as you're living your life, most of the time, 95% of the time, you are in that subconscious reaction. And so when you make a bad decision, you're making the bad decision from the subconscious mind place. Now, the subconscious mind, to me, it's such a fascinating, it's amazing. It's an amazing storehouse. And what happens with the subconscious mind is it just replays patterns. So when you had a trauma pattern from when you were a kid, like, for example, I'll give you an example. Suppose you grew up in a family where there was domestic violence, okay? And you watched it as you were watched it as you were growing up. And when you grow up, if you don't do healing work on that trauma pattern, because that is trauma, watching violence, whether it's done to you or you're watching it, can still be traumatizing. And so you may have watched it, you may have had some kind of trauma, maybe you were physically abused or there was sexual molestation, or there was emotional because emotional, when you see a parent or a caretaker um, degrading or beating up, and I'm putting that in quotes, on your, let's say, mother or your father, you, a lot of times it ends up being the mother, but there are a lot of men that have had situations where they end up being the one. So, and then what happens is you grow up and and you get into a relationship and you're in the honeymoon, it's all nice and sweet, and then all of a sudden that person starts hurting you. Now, they may be emotionally hurt, they may have started with emotional, and maybe that it even gets physical. What happens is that is because on the subconscious level you're replaying the pattern. And once you start becoming conscious and aware, oh, this is an old pattern, I don't want to keep replaying this, what do I do? What you do is you say to yourself, what do I need to do to take care of myself? So it may be to get yourself away from that person, or it may be you may need to leave the relationship, or if that person is willing to work on it, you go into counseling together, or you go into counseling for yourself to have the ability and the courage to be able to say no more. And so those bad decisions are coming from the subconscious part of you. Now, that's an example, a relationship, and that's an extreme example, but there may not be so. Like if you watched one of your parents just being sarcastic, maybe you become sarcastic yourself, but that sarcasm can hurt. And you end up being sarcastic with people that you love, and then they get hurt and you don't understand, or you end up being with someone or having sarcastic people in your life and it hurts. Because I will tell you, sarcasm is not, oh, I was only kidding. There is anger under sarcasm, and the sarcasm is a way of acting anger out. And so that's why it's so important to understand and become aware of what's going on in your environment and how your relationships are affecting you now, and what happened to you, and how what happened to you when you were a child with a parent or parents or caretakers affects you today. So, bad decisions, subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind doesn't do it on purpose. It's like a computer program. The computer programs don't do things on purpose. They just do. They run. That's your subconscious mind. But the empowering thing here that I want you to all know is that you can reprogram your subconscious mind. You can heal your subconscious mind. And when you do, miracles occur in your life and in your relationships. I've watched it happen with my clients. I've watched it happen with myself. So I really want to empower you to know that you can reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay, so let's go to the next Mickey's question. Mickey, what part are the triggers kept in, and why do they seem to have more control over us? So what part are the triggers? What part are the triggers kept in, and why do they seem to have more control over us? Okay. So the triggers are the reactions, are the emotional reactions that happen immediately It's your subconscious mind goes on automatic. You're on automatic. So let's say you're going to a party or a gathering for the holidays, or any time during the year, because this goes throughout the whole year. What I'm teaching you and what I'm talking about is all year long. It may get escalated because there may be more parties during the holidays or more social engagements, but it happens all year long. So you're going to a party, and you go to the party, and there's someone you know there, and you don't want to see them because there's things, they really trigger you, and they trigger you like you have a reaction to them. Now, your job is to understand, what are they triggering? What's going on inside of you that this person is triggering? Have you watched them to be mean to certain people? Have you had a negative interaction with them? Were they sarcastic or obnoxious or mean to you? Or have you had an experience and they may remind you of someone else? And so they may remind you of a parent or a caretaker. Just the way they hold themselves, the energy. You may have not even had, this is so amazing, but your subconscious mind picks up energy, picks up clues, picks up body language, and within seconds. And you make assessments of people based on that. So you may not have even met this person, and you may like or dislike them based on a trigger or a feeling or an emotion that you had in the past. And so this is about understanding yourself better, understanding how the triggers affect you. What's being triggered? And it's asking yourself questions. What if the situation, did they do something that triggered you? And did they do something that triggered you? And what did they do? What feelings? Start looking at the feelings that came up for you in interacting with them or in the interaction. So suppose you're in talking to somebody and they say something or do something and you get really angry. And so know that you reacted. They did something. Like, let's say they said something to you and you felt really disrespected. And so you got really angry. And so for you, it would be healing that place where you felt disrespected, where it began. And so hopefully, Mickey, that helps you understand. If you have any other questions about that, let me know. And I know we have a question from Charles, but let me ask, is that fair to ourselves? Is what fair? So Country Corners Gazette, the person who asked that, can you be more specific? What fair to yourself? Okay, I want to understand more. And right now, what I want to share with you is I am going to have a masterclass next week for women coaches, healers, therapists, and healing professionals, or entrepreneurs 3 steps to boost your income in your holistic business. Discover your soul's calling. Break free from limiting beliefs that would keep you from earning more money, and get into action and learn how you can make more money and turn your dreams into reality. And so that this virtual masterclass is next Wednesday, December 11th, 7:30 p.m. So I hope you'll join us, and go to inspired and empoweredliving.com/masterclass. Inspired and empowered living.com/masterclass. And looking forward to seeing you there. Okay. So let's get to Charles's question. Do you feel people have a hard time accessing the ability to use these different states of consciousness? So I wouldn't say that people have a hard time. What I would say is that it takes work. It's a journey. Remember, it's a journey. And you're in the destination of inspiring and empowering your life. And so it's going to take time. It takes work. It takes commitment, and it takes courage. Because it takes courage to look at yourself, to understand why or what triggered you, what's going on for you. And it takes courage to heal it. Because some of those memories, some of those places, some of those times were not pleasant. And it totally, what's the word? I'm in awe of my clients. I take them on the journey of healing. And when they are willing to go to those places that are hard to go back to heal, then I watch the transformation happen. Now, do you always have to go back? Not always. But it's really important to have the self-discovery and the awareness that you have to understand your triggers, so that when a trigger happens, I'm not going to react to this person. I am choosing to be in a different state. I am choosing to breathe. I am choosing to understand what the reaction, and if it's someone that's close to you, then you may want to go back and understand what got triggered. Once you understand what got triggered, then you can make a choice to have a communication with that person. If you're really close to that person, I really want to support you. If it's getting in the way of your relationship and you want the relationship to continue to get better, then you definitely want to have a conversation. However, if it's someone that you don't care about, and you may not want to continue to have a relationship, but you make a choice You make a choice and you say to yourself, I want to discover what the trigger was for me, because it's not about the person, it's about you. And that way, when that trigger happens again, you may not have to react the way that you did with that person. So again, it's not about the people at the parties or the events. The most important, and this is the number one mistake that would keep you from having healthier relationships, is not being self-aware and not working on healing yourself. Because the more that you heal and the more you feel, the more you can have those healthier, loving, joyful relationships. And that's what you want all year long, not just during the holidays. Okay. So Charles, hopefully that answered your question. And Country Corners, I didn't see, is that fair to ourselves? So I don't know if what exactly you're saying, is it fair or not fair to yourself? So I can't really answer the question until I know what we were talking about or what you were asking. Okay. So really good, important information. Okay. So in relationships, all right, what you want to remember, and this is what I was just saying, but I'm making another point of it because I'm saying it in a different way for you to remember. What happens, what they do or not do, is actually not about you. All right. Now that's a real big one. Okay. What that person does or does not do, how they act, what they say, you may trigger them. But the bottom line is they are a product of their subconscious mind just as much as you are. And if they're behaving badly, if they're being obnoxious or mean or I see it come in, I'll get to it in a sec. If they're doing something and that triggers you, remember, that's who they are. Now, maybe you've triggered them, but the bottom line is they are who they are. It's coming from their subconscious mind, and you're getting triggered, which is coming from your subconscious mind. So the most important thing is for you to gain the awareness of what the trigger is. So hopefully that was helpful. Now I know the answer to what I was asking before, Country Corners. Not having the ability to control access to the things stored or what we store. Okay. So here's the thing. Is it fair to ourselves not to have the ability to control? Well, there is some ability to control, because when you start gaining more and more and you feel more empowered, you can start changing how you do your life or how you access it. But I also want to remind you that your conscious mind could not function. That's the power of the subconscious mind, that it's the storehouse. It's the memory. It's the memory card or the programming, you could not be functionally, I can't even say it, functioning effectively. I was combining the two words. See, you could not function effectively if you had access to all the information in your subconscious mind. Remember, to me, it's actually amazing. It's miraculous that everything that we have ever experienced in this lifetime, in past lives, and in your ancestral history are all in your subconscious mind. That's pretty amazing. So, if you had access to it and had access to all of it, you would go on overload. You wouldn't be able to function in your life. So it's actually divinely perfect that it happens the way that it does. And what happens is, as you do the healing and as you start getting in touch more and more with the things that trigger you, and then you work on healing them and resolving, you gain more and more access to the empowered being that you are. What blocks you from accessing and being that being are those old programs and patterns that can, okay, this is really important, that can be healed, that can be cleared, so that you can live an inspired and empowered life. That's the bottom line. And so I really want you all to know that that's what it's all about. So we are going to continue this discussion next week as well. There's a lot more that I want to share with you: how to reduce your stress, how to reduce your relationship stress, any stress that you have around the holidays. And this show is not only for the holidays, because everything that I'm sharing with you is for all year long. Okay? So next week we'll do part 3, or we may name it a little bit different. So, but it's basically a continuation of what we do. Now, you want to come to my masterclass next Wednesday, December 11th. 3 steps to boost your income in your holistic business. And it's for you women, coaches, healers, therapists, entrepreneurs. 3 steps to boost your income in your holistic business. Go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com/masterclass. And Rebel put the link in the chat. And I really want to support you in remembering, ultimately, that you do have control, more control than you realize, when you empower yourself, when you become more consciously aware, and you make decisions that will help you to heal those patterns where you go on automatic. So that's really important for you to remember, and that you are and you can be more empowered. And I want to empower you to know that you can change your life. You can have healthier relationships. You can have all that you want. And it's a journey, it's a process, and you deserve to have it. And so I wish you, remember, I want to remind you that you can find we're live on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, my YouTube channel. And you can find the podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And I wish you an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.